Sorry. So the next speaker on the panel is Yossi Kupperwasser, to my right. And Yossi Kupperwasser is a senior project manager at the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs and a former Director General of the Ministry of International Affairs and Strategy. So I would like to ask you, since you were a general, so you are a general in the reserve, to give us a reality check after everything you have heard so far. So please.
כן, האמת שאני באמת חושב שהדבר הכי חשוב לעשות פה זה ריאליטי צ'ק. כי הרבה מהדברים שנאמרו פה, אני רואה שהרבה אנשים חופשים, maybe I'll speak in English, okay, I'll speak in English. I think that reality check is highly necessary. And much of what we've heard here is totally disconnected from reality. And it's a pity, because we really all of us want peace. There is a mistake here that in the beginning, Ephraim started with it, trying to portray the Israelis as one third, another third, a third, as if some of the thirds don't really want peace. Everybody wants peace. Even Yehuda Glick speaks about the peace he wants. But we have all kinds of ideas about what kind of peace we want. So do the Palestinians, and Ephraim didn't even mention them. For having peace, we need the Palestinians, unfortunately. And the Palestinians are totally committed, all of them, with very few exceptions, very few. They are all of them committed, still committed, to the same narrative that stood behind the Palestinian National Charter back in '64, and its '68 version. They have not changed one bit in this narrative. We have to understand it. This narrative is basing the purpose of the Palestinianism in the demise of Zionism. Palestinianism is against Zionism. That's what Palestinianism is. Palestinianism says that there is no Jewish people. Ambassador Forward Anderson was amongst the only people here who said that the EU is in favor of a two states for two peoples solution. We heard the slogan two states so many times. Who are the peoples who are going to have those two states? According to the Palestinians, there is no Jewish people. And because of that, there's not going to be a state for the Jewish people. The other state, the two states, they speak about two states. One state for the Palestinian people. The other state is a non-ethnical state for the citizens of these people, of this state. And Abu Mazen has invented the term the Israeli people. There's no such thing as Israeli people. There's the Jewish people. And the purpose of having Israel is to allow the Jews to exercise Zionism, namely to have a state for the Jewish people in Israel. That's the purpose of Zionism, and that was the logic of Resolution 181. That was the logic of it. There are enough Arab states, it's not a problem. That was the logic of it. The Palestinians deny that. They denied it back in '47, they still deny it today. Secondly, the Palestinians say, why we deny it? Not only we deny it because there's no Jewish people, also because we claim that there was no Jewish sovereign history in this piece of land. That's why we came to the UNESCO and asked to ignore the relationship between the Jews and the Jewish sovereignty in Jerusalem in the past. There was no such sovereignty. There was no temple. There was nothing. We denied that there was a sovereign history of the Jews in this piece of land. This is the basis of the Palestinian narrative. And what they're trying to do is to export this narrative to as many people around the world. That's why they want UNESCO to adopt it. The third issue is that the Jews, and especially the Zionists, much more than just the Jews in general, are unacceptable creatures. Amongst them, the settlers are the worst of all. And because of that, there is a terrible injustice here. By bringing the Jews to this piece of land where the Palestinian people was living, a terrible injustice was done. And that's why the Palestinians now are asking just yesterday, we had the 99 years for the Balfour Declaration. That's why they asked the British to atone, to apologize and atone for the terrible crime they committed in 1917. Now, this is not started there. In San Remo, when the mandate for the British to rule over Palestine was given, The big debate was about the word reconstitute, whether the purpose of the mandate is to reconstitute the national homeland of the Jewish people in Palestine. And the Palestinians, and there were no Palestinians at the time, by the way, but the people, the Arabs, were against this idea because they said, what are you going to reconstitute exactly? There was nothing here in the past. You don't have anything to reconstitute. And they've not changed that one bit. They're still fighting Britain today over the Balfour Declaration. So there was a terrible injustice. The Europeans wanted to get rid of those terrible Jews, and they sent them over. As the Palestinians say, the term they use is there was a people without a land that was sent to a land without a people. That was the perception of the Europeans when they sent the Jews over here in order to get rid of them. You just have to look at the Palestinian television. This story is being told again and again on Palestinian television. Now, in order to bring about the demise of Zionism, the Palestinians say, we are committed to an ongoing struggle. Now, there's a big debate inside the Palestinian community what kind of struggle are best to adopt at a certain point of time. And the big debate between Hamas and Fatah is the issue of what's called in Arabic, askaratul intifada, the militarization of the battle, of the fight against Zionism. Hamas says, let's do everything, including terrorism with firearms. Fatah says, Abu Mazen says, no, let's not use firearms. It's counterproductive for us. Let's only use violence that does not include the use of firearms. Let's throw stones, we can do it. He calls it popular resistance. Sometimes he says popular resistance using peaceful means. That's what he means. But he refers to that. But all kinds of struggle, including all kinds of terrorism, are highly solicited by the Palestinian Authority. Do you know how much money the Palestinian Authority spends every year on salaries to terrorists that are imprisoned in Israeli prisons and on payments to families of what they call martyrs? 1.1 billion shekels are spent every year on paying those terrorists and the families of the deceased terrorists. 1.1 million shekels. Now, they have a very small budget, as Yuda described the difficult conditions of the Palestinians. The entire budget is 15 billion shekels. 1.1 billion shekels out of that go to salaries to Palestinian terrorists. That's amazing. And this is according to their law. It's a legal act. It's soliciting terrorism by the law. It's unbelievable. On top of that, they say that their struggle is based on their victimhood. Nobody can take away from them their victimhood. That's why they are not expected to show any responsibility or accountability, because as victims of the Europeans and the international community who sent the Jews over here, and as victims of the Jews themselves because of what happened in 48 and 67, nobody should expect them to show any accountability. So don't tell them what to do. Sorry? I don't think that, a little bit, but much less than they do. A little bit. No, I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not saying that we don't have a lot of problems with the Israelis. I'm not saying that. We can spend another 10 minutes on the problems with the Israelis. But I'm saying that the underestimation of the problem with the Palestinians that was shown here, although everybody said, but I know that they're not a perfect partner. Come on, this is not a perfect partner. This is not a partner, okay? That's the reality. This is not a partner. This is not a perfect partner. It's a partner that pays 1.1 billion shekels every year for people to kill you is not a partner. That's, so I said they have the victimhood, they have the message that their fight is both Islamic and national at the same time, and they have the message that their commitment is for the entire Palestine. So when this peace process came to an end, it was in March 2014. Why? The Americans shaped a proposal for the continuation of the discussions. They proposed it to Netanyahu on March 7th, 2014. Netanyahu said, I have all kinds of reservations, but I'm ready to accept it. I will present my reservations once we sit to the table. The Palestinian leader, Abu Mazen, said to Obama on March 14, he said to him, this is my last sentence. He said to him, I'll come back to you. He never did. But when he came back to Palestine, so as he calls it, to his headquarters, he said the following sentence. He said, نحن بالوعد متمسكون وما الأهد بكون ولا التفريط على الأمانة, which means we stick to the promise, we are committed to the alliance, to the treaty, and there's not going to be any concession on the deposit. And everybody in the audience understood exactly what he means. He means there's not going to be any change on our commitment to Haifa. There's not going to be any change on our commitment to the return of the refugees. That's what the people understood, and correctly they did so. And that is the problem. If we don't understand that this is the problem, all this talk about how we take all these experts and try to turn a circle into a rectangular. It's impossible. So let's think about something different. I want to have one more sentence, because what should be done? What should be done? Yes, we can do we can do a lot of stuff. We can do a lot of stuff in order to improve the situation. We can. We can move partially, as Yair and others suggested here. But it has to be in tandem. There's got to be something on the Palestinian side, and there's got to be some message from the international community to the Palestinians that this cannot go on forever. They cannot continue paying salaries to terrorists. This is not going to be tolerated by the international community. Once this is going to be the message, they will have to reconsider, maybe, hopefully. And then, who knows, maybe we'll have peace.
Okay, thank you very much.